Student Game Report. Week 11 now. Okay.
No, for the 11th time.
I said it slower this time, so don't start with me today. I said it slower this time.
See,
Kyle Nash, how you doing, my friend?
When you purposefully accent something like that, that's essentially a form of hyperbole, I would say.
We're actually on the air, but I didn't take my pills yet. Give me a second. Keep talking.
Yeah, right. Because, I should carry your show because Lord knows I'm more talented at it. And at least for a delayed moment, you're in a position where you can't debate me. But the world already knows that EJ Christian is even inferior to me, the student of the game in basketball at this point, because I'm here carrying his show. And all he can do is give me weird looks while he's taking his pills.
And wink at you.
Oh, there he goes.
Well, we have a lot. I have a lot to touch on today because, I guess we'll start with last night's game, the freshest thing in our mind in the NFL. We also got a lot of coaching firings in college I want to talk about too, especially. But first, I was NFL first. Last night, Broncos. I said last night, not a gimme game for Buffalo by no means.
Sure.
And Denver outright won the fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I believe at least one person on the panel of on the Huddle Up podcast, bing, took the points, and rightly so. And
I also did in my picks and with Zach last week as well too.
Yeah, I just wasn't brave enough. I'll be honest, I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't brave enough. But those that did it, I would have contributed to the war bond, but I would not have actually fought in the battle in question. And shame on me, I guess. But yeah, here's the thing. If anything was going to be a problem, no one had expected it to be that damn game. A long week, a team that's been struggling. Now, I will grant you, there'll be pundits out there that like, well, the Broncos did just get done beating Kansas City Chiefs last week. Might be done. Well, okay. Let's pump the brakes a wee bit somewhat, shall we? Okay. I'm not prepared to declare they're going to make, let's say, call it a Houston Texan or a Jacksonville Jaguar style run through the rest of their schedule, pull off, a playoff appearance in the AFC. However, I mean, actually, I make that joke. The Chargers, we keep referencing that 2016 playoffs or whatever it was, where there was that cluster. And I said the Chargers, who I think were at the time were 6-6, and you were like, what? You didn't just give me a straight up GTFO, but you were like, really care?
Right.
Really?
Right.
And gosh, he was probably still present because allegedly he's an immortal in some fashion, but the Netflix show hadn't answered yet. But you got Morningstarred before being Morningstarred was cool on that. But I say all the above to say, yeah, the disappointment is setting in, and here come the Josh Allen haters and all of that. And I'm so Josh Allen. Well, it's hard for me to absorb it, but go ahead.
Right. Well, I'm not ready to declare the Denver a playoff contender just yet. I'm not going there. Let's be clear about that.
Good to know that knee-jerking has some limit.
But they have shown signs of improvement last couple of weeks. They're now 4-5 after a rough start. You had a couple games early in the year they should have won. That wasn't Russell Wilson's fault. You turn those games around, all of a sudden they're a playoff team right now. Like the Washington game when they blew late in the fourth quarter, the Raiders game they just should have won. That's 2 games there. You add those games to the winning side of the bracket. Now you have a 6-win team here.
The playoff lock.
Right. And Russell Wilson has played better this year. I mean, is the return on investment where it should be? No. We agree with that. But he's clearly better than he was last year. Yeah, clearly Sean Payton has elevated that a little bit.
Yes, clearly even Woody Harrelson can clear that hurdle that was set up, and he's done so. Yes, that's a white man can't jump reference.
Yeah. I'll know for the record. What's that best question too? What's the question? Let's say Russell Wilson continues this, solid, not great, but solid run to the end of the year. Is this enough for Denver to say, well, let's stick with this a little longer? Remember, we had rumors weeks ago that should the Broncos go ahead and just eat the cost on Wilson, cut Wilson, eat the cost on that, and go forward and find a quarterback? But I mean, Russ has clearly shown some signs again that he's not clearly Seattle Russ, but he's getting there a little bit, moving the ball a little bit, he's throwing the ball, getting the ball out faster. He's being mobile when he needs to. So you've seen signs of that. Is this enough in the Sam Grills to hold on to this guy another year or two?
Well, and you're assuming there would be a market for Rusty with that contract, and I'm not completely convinced of that, right? I mean, we lived in a world where, your boy and student of the game MVP from 2022, Saquon Barkley, was having trouble getting signed, right? I'll say this. Yeah, right. I'll say this. The contract is a big part of it. And also, too, when you openly declare you're in rebuild mode, such as that is, you start losing players, right? The main reason, for example, Laramie Tunsil is a Houston Texan. The main reason Minkah Fitzpatrick is a Pittsburgh Steeler is because of the tanking for Tua campaign in Miami, right?
Right,
and there's plenty of examples of it, and they don't want to lose, like, let's say, a Patrick Surtain Jr., for example.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. There are a couple key players they want to keep around, and shipping Rusty, you'll start getting whispers because dudes don't want to waste them. They want to win football games. They want to win championships and rings and things and stuff.
Yeah. All right. We got to talk about the Bills. It's time. We both already panicked last week on the Bills.
Yeah.
We were already panicked at 5-4. Now they're 5-5, and the games that we considered we both agreed that it wasn't a give me, but they should have won this game last night against Denver.
Right.
They lost the game now. On top of that, now
it's
panic meter now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you're at least an 8, right? And that's without me. I mean, I didn't watch a large portion of the game because I sure didn't expect this. And from what I saw from you and the Nice brothers, among other people, also the chat, the group message with the Black and Gold Banneret crew, bing, like, I may have seen an interesting outcome, but I don't know that I would have necessarily seen a great game. And listen, I'm sorry, I was tired from the third straight event I was covering, when I had covered UCF women's basketball for the Black and Gold Banneret last night. Bing!
It's back.
So, yeah, man, listen, it's fun. It's fun to watch a team completely change their identity and then average, let me math real quick, average, what is it, like 98 points a game, 96?
Wow.
And 101 in women's basketball. That's a ton.
That's insane. Well, first of all, in college basketball in general, it's a lot. And
you're right.
Basketball, it's extra.
No, granted, they're not playing, the Big 12 schedule yet, obviously. But
I am surprised though. You're only going 8 in the Bills. Why not higher? Given the schedule, given the
10, and if they win a couple of these games, they're alleged not supposed to. Winning solves everything.
Well, here's the problem. Okay, so here's the issue.
That's what you got to remember, buddy.
So for the audience, the reason why I'm surprised by that is this: we've been saying we said coming into the year, the schedule was the issue for the Bills. We were saying last week, going to the second half of the year, because of where they're at now, the schedule is the issue for the Bills. And then the game they should have won. They should have won last night to at least bake in some wins. They lost already. So now for the audience here, I give you the remaining schedule of the Buffalo Bills going forward. Next week, home against the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they should win the game, but they also should have won against Denver last night. So I can no longer just give them that game anymore. Then you get back-to-back weeks against both Super Bowl participants of last year at Philly, at Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then the Cowboys at home. Then the Chargers, who are always frisky as hell.
No.
On the road.
Stop. No. Not anymore, they ain't.
Well,
they ain't been frisky. Late.
Here's what's look. We agreed that Steele's a bad coach. They ain't getting blown out though. They lose more one-score games than any team in franchise history.
They ain't been frisky lately.
Well, they lose one-score games though. They're not gonna play dead. Let's put it that way.
Okay, now that's a better answer.
Right. The Pats, week 17. That's got to be a gimme at this point. I would hope at home, and then to Miami. So again,
why is Miami intimidating?
But it's again.
What did they do last time they met?
True. No, we can use that.
So and listen, I'm not saying that means that it's a gimme win either. But all they have to do, EJ Christian, is what their record. Their record's 4-5.
No, it's 5-5.
5-5. Excuse me.
It's okay.
So of those games, yeah, because mathing, right? I mean, such as that is, right? So you're mad at not mad. You're questioning me putting a panic meter of 8. Like it.
No, I'm not questioning. I'm surprised. That's
how
surprised it's that low. I go 10.
It's again. There's still so much. There's so much time left in the season. Okay, that's the difference between you and I. The season is literally one game past half. We are still in November. There is still an opportunity to change all that. We have seen that. Hell, one at this time last year, these questions were being asked of the Bills in their situation. And this point last year, and I'd have to look it up, maybe actually it's a little earlier, but like 6 to 8 games in, weren't they the 4th placed team in the AFC East, a division which they ended up winning? There's just still too much. You want to meet me at 9 or 8.5 or 9? Cool. I can't go full 10 yet. Listen, and by the way, I know they lost to the Jets the first week. There's been tape. The Jets haven't done as well lately. And I get that the Eagles and Chiefs back to back on the schedule, but 2 out of 3 weeks because there's a bye in between. Like, I get that that's a rough go, but all they got to do is win 2 in a row, and suddenly there's a lot less to be scared of. And yeah, I know that assumes they're going to win in the link against Philadelphia, but if there's a team that trifles around like Buffalo in the NFC, would you not say it's the Eagles, Ernest Christian?
You have a point there. Okay.
So,
you sold it well. I will say you did sell it well. I'm just saying that
if it's
of
time
the remaining games,
if you like more panic, cool. I get it.
I'll say as much. Of the remaining 7 games they have going, they're probably gonna be favored in about 3 of them. So
I'll allow it.
And then the magic number.
That depends on what the Cowboys are, doing this week and whether the press thinks Dak's a bad quarterback this minute or not.
Right.
I mean,
right. And then you got to figure out also too the next question here too. Also, regarding the playoff picture now. So, and again, we have to remind you. I know you hate this so much, and you and I are kind of the same boat. Although I'm less hateful about it as you are. The 7 seed. The 7 seed now. What's the magic number in your opinion for the AFC 7 seed to the last spot? Is it
that's
10 wins and 9 wins?
I mean, 10 wins a lot, right? Typically speaking, historically speaking, there's probably an amazing stat out there about the number of 10-win teams that miss the playoffs. It doesn't happen so much.
Would you agree though? Would you agree though that with the number of teams now in the mix? Because I hate to say this now, right now the 7 seed now currently, I may get to them in a second because we'll have a long discussion about this one. The Texans are the 7 seed right now currently. The playoff start today. But right between them and 5-4 Texans, 5-5 Bills, 5-5 Colts, 4-5 5-5 Raiders, 4-5. There's a cluster of teams there. So wouldn't that logically bring the magic number down a little bit or rise it up a little bit higher?
No, it would bring it up because the line of demarcation's higher, right?
Right. So
let's say the Jags, for example, win 10 games, as I predict. But
they get
What's that?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Texans.
Let's say the Jags win 10 games, as I predicted, late September or late August, rather. And the Texans blow my 7-win optimism out of the water and get 10 wins themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say that happens, okay? That then puts us in a position to a Miami team that some people have at 10 wins, which I don't believe I did as I pull it up here. No, I did not. I had them at 9. Hey, listen, but all they did was replace the Jets, who I put at 10 wins. Okay. By the way, had the Dolphins winning 9, so maybe I'm off by a game and they get 10. Okay, so there's 4 teams, not just spots, Ernest Christian, teams right there with 10 wins, right? And let's say the Chargers somehow squeak out 10 wins. They might. I doubt it at this point, but they might. The Chiefs are going to have 10. Right there, I'm at 6. And that's just in 3 divisions? I haven't even touched the North, who's going to give you at least 2-win teams. You have more 10-win teams at that rate than you have spots.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a great point. And with the Buffalo schedule, couple of that, it makes it tough.
Yeah,
because
that's never been the debate. I think we said that from moment one. I think 5-5. I think I said something along. If they pull off 6-4, they're going to be a playoff team. They've not done that.
Yeah.
So,
and now you got teams in the mix that they'll be in the mix, and teams that are over. It's been a really, really
let's just say
strange season.
Time for the Jets to be the disappointment that some of us thought they'd be with Aaron. Let's see what happens.
But that being said, we got to talk about this here. You're right, Kyle. Now I don't know if you were this right, but you definitely were right so far. The Houston Texans, they are.
Yeah, bro. And I'll say they've had a few balls bounced their way. Like,
and it's fine. So the Browns,
and I'm not mad at it, but yeah. I mean, what do they say? Luck is the intersection of success and opportunity, right? Or success is the intersection of luck and opportunity.
You think the past don't win 6 Super Bowls without having some bounces going their way? I mean, come on, it happens.
Some, bitch, please, Patriots fan. Some, like, listen, there's a reason why Rob Parker's theory about the LOAT, luckiest of all time, isn't exactly crazy,
right?
But all that being said. The reason why I say some balls bounce their way and things like that with the Texans, they've had plenty that haven't as well, for full disclosure, with injuries and things like that. And also, if the balls didn't bounce their way, they'd still be on pace for 7 wins. Was I this right? No. Ooh. If you want to take away my Morningstar card, fine. But I was considered an optimist, saying that the Texans would win the same amount of games as the Titans.
And last week I teased it. And I'm going to go ahead and claim this because I didn't hear anybody in national media talk this prior to me talking about it last Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I'm going to agree with you.
This became a thing after I mentioned it. I'm not saying I'm taking credit for it. I'm just saying that I'm the only person I know. As someone's plugged into me.
God damn it.
So I teased the fact that CJ Stroud has been fantastic this year. Runaway rookie of the year at this point. Runaway. I don't think it's a close second right now at this point.
That was on the midseason awards for the student of the game with me and Mikey Byrne. Bing! Yeah. That was easily the easiest.
However, I did say this too also at the time, and at the time was being shot back this way up, and I get it. And I said this, that if for somehow, some way, this Texans team gets to the playoffs, and CJ Stroud continues to play the way he's playing, you have to at least put him in consideration for MVP. We are now at the halfway point. Well, after past halfway point now this year, they're 5-4. These numbers, Kyle, for a rookie quarterback, it's out of this world. I have to say too, also, when we consider the fact in the MVP conversation we've been having all year on this podcast,
right?
We've barely mentioned quarterbacks. We've been talking about Tyreek Hill. We talk about,
generally speaking, quarterbacks have not been good.
This is the first year you can say that there's been no quarterback that's been consistently good this year.
Accurate
at this point,
for whatever reason, be it
right. It's weird.
Yeah,
we've had a little Jared Goff might be in conversation. And then he has that Baltimore game, and then you have the little bit of Lamar Jackson. Then he's had a couple, like this week, for example.
This week after beating the shit out of 2 teams that suddenly made them tier 1. But okay, sure.
Jalen Hurts turning it on lately, but Jalen Hurts also has been a turnover machine this year.
Jalen Hurts is not an MVP candidate this year.
That's my point.
In last year.
You make my point. Pat Mahomes has been solid, but not the same Pat Mahomes in the past. It is not foolish to say that through 9 weeks, Kyle, or 10 weeks rather, this season, that CJ Stroud has played the best at that position at this point of the year, consistently for 10 weeks.
Yeah, he has the best string of football put together so far. I think that is a fair statement. Now, you've said a number of things. Let's go back and present it, as you said. CJ Stroud MVP. Man, I don't know. CJ Stroud candidate, of course. If he makes the playoffs, win. Duh. Like, let's be clear. The first time you brought it up last week, yes, it was still premature. All of that. Can we celebrate him being the hands down rookie of the year, assuming he stays healthy first? And let's do and here's the thing that even the Jaguar fans, because I am a little bit in touch with some of that since I write for the Jaguar Report. Bing! Like, panic is set in for Jaguar fans, so much so that they look at the Texans' schedule and start to panic themselves because, granted, it's fresh off of a just demolishing by way of the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
But the Texans' remaining schedule, I have to be honest, is at least intriguing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the Texans do have to play the Jags in Houston Thanksgiving weekend. The other teams featured are the Cards, the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans twice, the Browns, and the Colts. I can make an argument that the Browns are the toughest one remaining on the schedule.
Agreed.
That's pretty favorable. It's pretty favorable.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Jaguars and the whole thing. And look, I called this last year. I still think this will play out as such. But all of a sudden now, and I'm going to get hit myself on my skis here, but all of a sudden now, Texans AFC South don't sound so horrible now because the only game
in Houston first, but yeah,
right,
you're wrong.
Right. The only game behind right now in the standings. They've already beaten Jacksonville this year once already.
That's why November game. They don't have the tie break officially yet.
So if they beat the Jags again at home, now we're discussing, Texans playoffs. Yeah. Texas AFC South champion. Holy shit.
Well, and imagine if the Jags manage to slip up next week against the Titans because the offense has been exposed in a way that I've tried to tell you, America, but you wouldn't listen. Like, can I do Bernie Mac as Lucifer as Bernie Mac? America? I try to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. I'll even work on my Bernie Mac, but you get the idea, okay?
Yeah. No. Look, what I've been saying, I know people I know Big Jim's been on Twitter getting on me on that. I'm not saying he's even the front runner. All I'm saying is that if I'm putting together a list right now of 5 candidates,
you'll do a top 5. He should be in it. I agree.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's front runner because I got Tyreek Hill as my front runner still.
As do I.
There you go. That's all I'm saying. Just to clarify my position. That's all I'm saying. All right. I guess we can stay with those damn Jags. Losing, not shocking. I had Niners win that game, bounce back by week. Both teams by week, but that loss feels more troubling to me than it should coming out of it. Not so much they lost the game. It's the way they lost. It's the fact they were on a bye week. You're at home. It's all set up nicely. And then you get blitz like that at home.
Okay, so
that's troubling to me. You explain it.
Like, first of all, any way you slice this, it's not going to be a great look. Just the way that the Jags O-line was dominated up front. Trevor was in trouble, and then once you establish that push in the middle, you were able to get more creative. And listen, Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator, and of course Coach Doug Peterson, were throwing everything in the kitchen sink. They even had Christian Kirk throw a pass. They were trying to do anything they could. The Niners were coming out hot, and they had control. From the Jags' first offensive play. Now, granted, I'm wearing my 49ers cap on your show here today, EJ Christian. So the team of whom I am a fan and the team of whom I'm covering are not one and the same. So I say all the above to say, and I know that whoever listens to this has their finger on the homer button, but the moment Fred Warner on the Jags' first offensive play sniffed out the Trevor Lawrence bootleg and attacked without hesitation, it wasn't just about physical differences up front. This team was prepared. Okay.
Yep.
And for all the Jags were in a bye week. Yeah, so were the Niners. That's the problem. And you want to know what else the Niners did that the Jags didn't? Add a significant piece that you didn't know how they were going to fit in the system yet, too, in Chase Young. By the way, I'm pretty sure I need to add, the Red Tails organization to the list of Christmas cards out there, that I need to send for people that John Lynch has fleeced over the years. Okay? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I have a John
Should
Lynch.
Should we be troubled overall with the Jags moving forward? Like,
not on this game.
I still... And
that's the punchline I didn't quite get to yet. Not on this game, right? Both teams had a bye, so the Jags had a bye week. They did too. The Niners did too. Also, I think there's a quicksand element here, meaning the Jags have looked bad at times on offense for one particular reason: the red zone, right? The red zone was a problem again. But not only was it a problem, Ernest Christian, it was also turnovers. You would turn the ball over in the red zone, which for my money, I live in with the philosophy that if you turn the ball over in the red zone, it's not just a 6-point turnaround, or a 7-point turnaround. It's a 14-point turnaround. And you had that happen more than once in that game.
Yeah.
So I think this is about the offense just getting clean. There's an opportunity, and I don't know how it happens. Listen, the Jags pulled it off last year after they got trounced by Detroit last year. And what they do, they rattle off 7 straight to win the division, right? This is on the table again this year for the Jags. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but at the end of the day, they only have 3 losses, okay? This team is still very much in play for the playoffs. You know the biggest problem that fans have, Ernest Christian? That they're on pace to possibly lose more games than they win in front of them in person. Get over yourselves. That's not how football works.
That's a good. That was good. That was good. Let me see here.
Well, hey, if you want to read more in depth about what I said about it, you could read it on the Jaguar Report.
Bing! You got to explain to me how the Browns 6-3. The frisky
Defense.
cardiac Cleveland Browns.
This is going to be a short segment. How much have I propped their defense on this, your and my show?
And the funniest part too is that Deshaun Watson has still not been good. Even on Sunday, he was better than he was the last, probably his best game of the year. That's not saying much. It wasn't that great. He made plays late in the game.
You were the guy setting the quarterback in Seattle, and I was trying to explain to you the defense and running game were carrying it. Now that Nick Chubb's not there, I'll admit I'm a little confused on how that part's working.
So that being said, and again, I'm not saying front runner, this and that. If I'm putting together a list of 5 candidates coach of the year, is Kevin Stefanski in that list for now?
No, listen, we've touched on this, and the answer, of course, is still yes. Are you kidding me? They're
okay.
Listen, to have beaten, granted, it was in a redemption style kick at the end of the game, but to have beaten Lamar Demetrius Jackson is phenomenal. And let's be clear, despite all of it, it's not like the Ravens offense was terrible. They scored 31 points. Now, granted, when you spot your opponent 7 points with a pick 6, I like Kyle Hamilton as a DB. Don't get it twisted, but damn, okay. When you fail to score in the second quarter while the Browns keep creeping up, that's a problem. And by the way, say what you will about Kareem Hunt. He's shown that he's been good at football since his rookie year as a Chief, right? Everybody remembers when he went off on Monday Night Football, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So, I'll put it this way. Think this is what the Seattle Seahawks would have been the year after this. I don't know if it was the next year after the Super Bowl, but when Marshawn Lynch got hurt and they went to Thomas Rawls, and Rawls was good until he got hurt. Kareem Hunt is now playing the role of Thomas Rawls, essentially, right? You still got a run-based offense, and you still got an excellent defense. And I'm not going to compare Deshaun Watson to Russell Carrington Wilson of that era, but yeah, that's the quarterback, and it's not central to the success, even though he's making all the money that he is. But that's a whole separate question, man.
I'll say as much for the Browns, though. Like, I would feel much better about their chances moving forward if I knew I'm getting a better Deshaun Watson moving forward. Like, the defense is carrying them, obviously, but is this sustainable?
Well, and here's what's tricky about it. Again, we're 1 week removed from mid-season. I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson suddenly becomes an MVP caliber player who has been snubbed in the past, and let's say some of the votes were massaged away from him. See what I did there?
Oh my God, that was good.
Too soon?
No, never too soon. Never too soon, buddy.
Well, let's just say I just didn't want to harass you with it too much. But the punchline's this. What? Anyways,
you do that same. You know what's funny? You do that same bit. I heard yesterday on Levitar's show with during Stu Gott's week observations, and he brought up Ron Washington, who used to have a cocaine habit, and he got rehired in baseball for the first time in 9 years. Last week. Yeah, it's hysterical. And he can bring up cocaine and things like that nature, like things that related to cocaine and Ron Washington. It's hysterical. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, I listen. You have compared me to Stu Gatz before, and frankly, as even though I'm currently out of work, I'm still not that jaded yet. But listen, with all that in mind, man, there's still enough time in the year, theoretically speaking. I don't think this will happen for Deshaun Watson to get better and be in a position to make more of an impact. Now, there's not anybody on that receiver front that thoroughly excites me, and no disrespect to Amari Cooper, I think he's a good receiver, but that receiving core just doesn't light my fire probably as much as it should. And maybe it's Watson that's bringing him down. I don't know, but and
I'll say this much though, like
by the way, from Jerome Ford, their other running back, I covered him with the black and gold banneret playing against UCF. Bing, and he's a good running back. So I can see how he's getting in the mix. I mean, heck, he was the leading rusher against the Ravens. So there you go.
Talk about a team that getting a lot of breaks. That team got a lot of breaks this year too, especially the Browns. But hey, the NFL works out that way. Opportunities, you take advantage of it. Speaking of opportunities, man. Speaking of opportunities, this Josh Dobbs story has been incredible, huh?
Yeah. For all the Matt Flynn's and the Sage Rosenfels and the Gus Farrat's and Sam Bradford's and these guys that get shots.
Steve Berline.
It's good to see. Say again.
Steve Berline. I'm just throwing random backup quarterbacks.
I mean, it's not backup quarterbacks, but guys that had a flash and then suddenly were anointed and then dramatically failed. The Elvis
Berline got a starting job. Steve Berline got a starting job off his Dallas Cowboys backup run, then fall apart.
Well, I mean, listen, or the punchline is it's guys that weren't deemed talented and then turned, had one game and then were handed the bag. This dude has turned chicken salad out of chicken bleep on multiple occasions. Give this dude some money. Like, I mean, it's up there with, hey, Case Keenum did this, but we're going to throw the bag at Kirk Cousins. What are you doing?
What's funny
anyway.
it's actually peculiar because this offseason, Kirk Cousins will be a free agent. So if I'm Minnesota and this continues, because at this point, look at the NFC play picture right now. It's pretty much those 7 teams that are going to get in, barring a switch in the NFC South into the division. That's about it. Minnesota's now starting to separate themselves from a wild card spot now. When everybody else in the wild card, they have 2 games up on the next team in the wild card currently. So I ask you this now: Vikings in the playoffs. Josh Dobbs plays well the rest of the year. Is he your future? Is your future QB1?
I don't remember if it was on this show or on the Huddle Up, Bing, but I've already made the statement that with Josh Dobbs at the helm, their chances of making the playoffs are more dangerous. So
you did say that.
I don't remember where it was.
So who's more likely to get a QB1 next year? A spot next year? Josh Dobbs or Gardner Minshew?
Oh, it's Josh Dobbs. Why are we even no? Okay, can we stop with the Gardner Minshew bullshit? Okay,
it's a boy. It's a boy, Uncle Rico, man.
I'm very glad I'm on your show so I can just say stop the bullshit. Yes, obviously I dig my dude Uncle Rico flinging the ball over the mountain. Okay, what else was fun? Watching the Jags defense trounce the bejesus out of him with 4 turnovers. So I had a really easy article to write about how good they were that day. Okay, let's be clear about that. Gardner Minshew's a fine backup, and he's a lot of fun to deal with and hear about and cover. I get it. He's not a starting quarterback for any actual serious contending franchise in the NFL, period.
I think catch up a little bit. There you go. Sorry, it was the internet catch up a little bit there. All right. So some conversation. I listened to this a little sports media conversation, a couple of shows. First Take. I listened to Nightcap with Shannon and Chad.
All stuff I don't listen to because I mean,
yeah, you're right.
I ain't mad at you listening to Shay and Chad. I just can't. I get over them like having pissing contests every 30 seconds. But go ahead.
Yeah. So both shows brought up a conversation about Dak Prescott, and he's had a couple of really good games the last couple weeks.
Sure.
This week he was it 22-35, 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. against the obviously against the lowly New York Giants, who are worse than the 5 best teams in college football right now. So the topic that came up. Well, first they had a topic coming up. They had a topic that said that is Dak Prescott an all-time? Is Dak Prescott a all-time Cowboys quarterback? On Shannon and on that cop with Shannon and Chad, they brought the fact that is Dak elite.
That's not the same thing,
right? I'm saying that was a topic of conversation.
Sure.
I ask you this: this is the elite part first. Dak's had a solid year this year, not crazy, but he's had a solid year. The last couple games have been really good. Do you consider Dak Prescott an elite quarterback?
I think the Dak Prescott as an elite quarterback is as big a trap as the Matt Ryan, as the Joe Flacco. And I will continue to mock people who think that either of the two of them were elite quarterbacks. Dak Prescott is not a bad quarterback. I think he is worthy of being just under Tony Romo, which a lot of people will think that that's a slight. Trust me, it's not.
I agree with you on that one for record.
As the history of Cowboy quarterbacks go, there is a shit ton of overrated. Troy Aikman is not a great quarterback. He's in the Hall of Fame by proxy, just like a lot of players who are members of the Green Bay Packers, for example, under Lombardi historically. And I can go on a bunch of examples. If I say the name Dave Robinson, you think of some dude that played center for the Spurs, and rightly so. But Dave Robinson was a linebacker, I believe, who was inducted in my first credentialed event for the 50th induction of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, along with Warren Sapp, Larry Allen, Jonathan Ogden, Chris Carter, Bill Parcells, Curly Culp. There was definitely, of one of these things it doesn't look like the other kind of conversation with that. I think Ray Guy was that year. If he wasn't the next year, I forget which. But yeah, no, Dak is not elite. Now, is he a top Dallas Cowboy quarterback? Well, who are you putting on that list? Staubach's overrated. Aikman's overrated. Romo is underrated due to playoff snafus that, generally speaking, weren't his fault. Dakota Prescott is a sand drawn in the dirt by Aaron Charles Rodgers on a miracle away from winning a playoff game as a damn first-time starter coming in. Now, however, as that offensive line that was amazing in its time when it first got drafted and put together, so good it made DeMarco Murray look like an elite running back, and then he went to the Eagles and basically disappeared, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff where Dak has been a product of his environment. His environment was not a product of him, like with a Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. That environment is a product of him. Dak was a product of his environment. Elite quarterbacks, their environments are products of them.
And can we also be clear that just because you're a top 10 quarterback doing elite, I think elite is really, I think we overuse the word elite. There's not really elite quarterbacks in the league.
And actually, honestly, if you had 10 actual elite quarterbacks in the league, it's be a boring ass league.
It's a lot of elite quarterbacks, and it's not that many. I don't think we've ever been in a league where we actually had more than, at the same time, more than maybe 5 actual elite quarterbacks.
That would be a good over the summer study project.
Yeah, maybe that's definitely a off-season topic. But like, think about it. But I think the problem is we when we use these terms, elite and overrated, underrated.
There's something to tell too. I mean, not
right. I think we get lost. Like just because you're top 10, for example, doesn't mean you're elite.
Doesn't just like, to me have great stats like your boy Eli, for example, who's another controversy. Has great stats. Romo has phenomenal stats. I think I've seen something. I forget whose stats were better, but they're close.
Romo's probably better than his. It's just an efficiency, but that's not even saying much.
Well, but say what you will about as much as Romo's a choker, allegedly, his comeback stats are ridiculously good. Mm-hmm. By the way, like I'm pretty sure Jim is listening to this, as will you later as a Cowboys fan, and basically using it as audio porn. But the point is.
I'm done.
but the point is, no. You can be a top 10 quarterback and not be elite, and that's
Absolutely.
okay. And that's okay.
Like how many elite quarterbacks are in the league right now currently? Like Pat Mahomes is elite, obviously.
Yeah.
Is Joe Burrow elite?
Absolutely.
Okay. Josh Allen.
We certainly can't say that now, can we?
No. So Jalen Hurts is elite?
No.
Exactly. So there's really only 2 quarterbacks that are elite right now. Maybe CJ Stroud right now, but through 9 games.
You can't label anybody elite in one effing season. Come on, do better.
That's my point. So there really only are tier 1 elite 2 people there. Is we just mentioned Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
I would be willing to hear arguments for Lamar Demetrius Jackson.
Okay.
Because this is where other people get caught up is hardware in the play and playoff performance. Some people deem that as part of their criteria to be elite, and Lamar Demetrius Jackson does not have a great playoff performance portfolio. Like Brock Purdy currently has a better playoff performance portfolio than Lamar Demetrius Jackson. Fair or not, that's the facts of the case. So too does Jalen Hurts if you want a different comparison.
Yeah. Kyler Murray returned to Arizona this week. Looked pretty decent. It's pretty solid. Win for the Cardinals. Question: trade asset or future of the Cardinals?
Trade asset. You know better. Now the only problem is his contract's so ridiculous. Who the hell would take him? I can't rule out a scenario where he's shipped in exchange for an effort to acquire a Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, something like that.
Yeah, I remember from your story I said that, the Cardinals are kind of in a weird little spot here. Like, they're going to be so bad that do you want to bring a guy back like Kyler Murray to where you are still winning games and off the shoot?
And then here comes Josh for Dobbs.
Yep.
Here's one for you. Let's say Josh Dobbs has come out, performed the way he did for the Cardinals, and let's say he works and continues to do the same to carry to the Vikings to the playoffs. He won't happen. But should there not at least be a conversation about him as an MVP candidate?
Maybe most improved player?
Huh?
I mean, he has been. I don't call Josh Dobbs elite, but he's been really.
No one said elite. I said MVP candidate. You can be an MVP candidate.
No, right.
I mean,
he's been valuable to both the teams have been on. I'll say, and I'll tell you what, he got reward. I think him getting traded to Minnesota was a reward.
You could argue that, but also but that's my punchline, right? The MVP and that same element of the elite quarterback I mentioned earlier. Everybody pays so much attention to the fucking numbers with the MVP. It makes me angry. Okay.
Of course.
But you've seen my YouTube video, the Sports Symposium, on what makes an MVP. Mm-hmm. Your environment needs to be a product of you. You need to lift up your team. J.J. Watt was more of an MVP than Tom Brady. Well, I shouldn't say Tom Brady, but what's another example? Adrian Peterson, right? Ever will be. Because not only did he lift the defense, in 2012, he caught 3 touchdowns. More than the entire Kansas City Chiefs receiver core combined that year, okay? Why are you referencing 2012?
That's an insane stat. For the record.
You're damn right. Why do you think I still remember it? 11 years later? Okay, that's. But the reason why I bring that up as a case study is it's the perfect example of what an MVP actually looks like, and he doesn't even play goddamn offense.
Yeah. Despite losing this weekend, the Commanders, I'm watching Sam Howell this year. He's not bad. He's pretty good.
The enemy is pretty good job making him look a lot better than he actually is.
Yeah.
ACC quarterback crash out of my face. Jordan Travis is better than him. I said it.
Let me ask. Okay. So that being said, do the Commanders have the quarterback of the future in Sam Howell?
No.
Or do you?
Come on. Now you're shock jocking, EJ. I know you're trying to make for good radio and rile me up.
I'm just asking questions. I'm asking questions. That's all. I'm asking questions.
Homer, stop it.
I'm asking questions. All right, one last thing.
You
One
and
last
Vern
thing
both.
we can
Biggest surprise, Sam Howell. No, biggest surprise is Eric Bieniemy doing all this in the middle of the ownership transition for a franchise. Out my face here.
They're gonna gut that entire. They're gonna gut that entire franchise. Quarterback is the only spot. I'm wondering if they're gonna hold him pattern on.
Are they?
I'm just
You're
curious
sure?
on that one.
I'm not as sure about that, buddy. I got to tell you.
I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if they'd be bad enough to draft a quarterback. Worth a damn.
Well, and see, that's
wrong.
the point. If they're going to do that, they're going to do it for picks and turnover. I can see that.
Right. All right. The last thing. There's a report came out in the Athletic this weekend that said that many executives believe that following this year that Bill Belichick and the Pats will part ways. There'll be a mutual parting. And then they lose to the Colts on Sunday in that dreadful Sunday football mimosa game.
Boy, did Mac. It looks like Mac Jones had a few on that interception. Am I right?
Holy yeah. If the Mac Jones era wasn't over before, it's over now.
Yeah.
After Sunday, yeah, it's done. But back to the Belichick thing. Look, I was always on the fence about like, okay, and you and I were on the same page about this. Like, okay, maybe he loses the GM title and his head coach. I don't see it playing like that, buddy. I see either he's going to keep both or he's gone.
Well, and as
what do you think?
You and I have adjusted both our takes. I think you brought that up at least a month ago.
Yeah.
And boy, there's been a lot of horrible losing between then and now. He's losing a lot of stock real fast. And Boston is an entitled ass sports city. They think
damn right they are.
They should always have some sort of championship stuff on their belt. And listen, to the city's credit, there is a lot of success in the history. I'm not saying that entitlement is just there because Boston fans are typically difficult and borderline, if not outright a-holes. They are, but that's not why I'm saying. and I say that knowing that I'm not insulting most Boston fans. EJ Christian, they embrace that identity. It's funny when people are a-holes and they just embrace it. Like, I kind of respect it. It's the whole reason I come on your show so often. You realize you're a tool and you lean into.
Hey man, all my branding, right? All my branding.
Listen, I mean,
they're called mass holes for a reason, bud.
Hey, well played. Yeah, exactly. But all the above to say, and like, you know, I know, like, just the front office for the Celtics has been killing it. You know, as much as I talk about John Lynch as a former player becoming a good GM, Danny Ainge did his thing. You know, all that. But yeah, no, it maybe in another city he would be kept around. That's not happening here. I'm with you. At this point, I expect a departure. Just because of just from what I have been told of the personalities of the guys I know will be in the room talking about the situation, being Bob Kraft and Belichick, of course.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some college football here. Tonight we'll have the third rankings in college football, the third playoff rankings.
Excellent. Very proud of your
however,
math.
I do have up here if I can
level.
Yeah, shut up. However, we do have the AP poll still put out their rankings. And the AP poll has disagreed with the committee actually on their top the top 25.
And rightly so.
Mainly the top 4 to 5.
And rightly so.
So right, real quick, I should bring this up in the meantime. So this week's AP, we'll keep it simple. Because I at this point, it feels like the above the line teams are only 8 teams now. There are really only 8 teams that have a legit chance to win the national championship this year. That goes Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama. Again, this week, unchanging AP. Your thoughts?
The Washington disrespect is palpable, and apparently these old farts
there you are.
Need to stay. Oh yeah. Apparently the disrespect for Washington is palpable, and these old farts need to stay awake late enough to watch Washington football. How do you pick Florida State at this point? Apparently holding on against a team who has a coach that doesn't know when to kneel the ball, when I'm supposed to be told regularly by the same old farts in question how great Utah's defense is, and Washington still prevails with Michael Penix at the helm and puts up 35 points. What are we doing here? So yeah,
I don't agree with you at all.
I'm going to say it, and people get mad at me and all this other stuff, but we were talking with our good friend G. Stelio via text. I wouldn't do it personally, but anybody who has in their rankings Oregon ahead of FSU, I ain't mad at it.
Joel Clay has FSU's number 8 in his top 10 rankings.
And rightly so. Well, okay, let's not go that far. I'd still put them ahead of Texas. I'd still put them ahead of Texas because you lost to Oklahoma and they're a joke. Oklahoma shouldn't even be in the top 15, especially after having lost to Oklahoma State, a team that got boat raced. And I saw it in person because I was covering UCF with the black and gold banneret, bing, by 42 freaking points by the 127th worst defense against the run in the nation, Ernest Christian. And your alleged top rusher in yards in the nation was held to a paltry 25.
So you're part of the committee. You do your top 6. Tonight's rankings, how should it look? How should it look? I mean, how will look, we'll see, but how you think should look.
So you're asking me to do the Kyle rankings.
Yeah. You're part of the committee.
Michigan, Georgia, Washington, Ohio State, Oregon, Florida State.
I agree. So there's mix up there, but I do agree with the premise. I would go Georgia now. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Florida State, Oregon. Florida State should drop in the top 4 without question. I don't understand why that's even controversial. I said on social media, people are like, "No, we talking about no, it's a rivalry against Miami."
Because it's all the blue blood and it's all the history behind it. People have seen FSU on their TV forever. This is why nobody talked about the fact the year where they came out opening the season and they lost to Boise State, and then after that week, everyone forgot about it. Hey, let me ask you. You'll probably know because you actually pretend at least to know a little bit about a football, meaning some of it rubs off on you from talking to me every week.
Shut up.
Favorite team you lost to by 1 point out there?
One more time?
Well, a team that FSU has lost to by 1 point?
Recently?
No, I'm been about a month and a half ago.
Oh, they'll be beat by 1 point. Yeah, Boston College.
Right. No one's penalizing FSU for that. That's horse shit.
I agree with 100%. And again, the strength of schedule is not helping their case now too, because the LSU win's not holding water anymore because LSU's fallen on the rankings. They got 3 losses. So again, no, but
and frankly, 15 is entirely too high for them as well. Like
they're 13. They're 13 now. Oh, let me see that. I know they're 13.
They're
wow.
15.
That's
15.
Okay. I mean, it is what it is. SEC love, whatever it is, what it is.
The punchline is, and listen, I say this as an SEC guy, but going back to this being porn for Jim Neese, I think Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of LSU at this point.
I can argue that because Notre Dame has had a tougher schedule than LSU. Outside of Florida State.
Let's not go completely off the rails. Analyze that, but here's what I'll say. In their big games, they've shown up more. Period. Point blank. End of story.
No, Florida State should be out of the top 4. I even did a podcast on this yesterday. I did Unfiltered that yesterday on this topic, and made a compelling case.
Yeah.
Look, I get the whole like, oh well, it's an opponent, it's a rivalry game. You were a 15-point favorite against a team with a backup quarterback at home, and they were 40 yards from tying the game. Stop. This is not the NFL. This is college football. Style points matter. That's it. And to date, Washington still has the best win of the year of Oregon. So I don't know what we're talking about here at this point. It's not my fault that you don't get to watch the football, like you said, late at night, after 10 o'clock at night. That's your problem.
But you know what? Let's even lean into that, though, EJ Christian. Let's pretend it's not the best win of the year. Let's say Texas over Alabama is.
That's surging now.
Hold on.
That's surging now, though. That no one's starting to surge now with Alabama, playing well now in the back end.
It's allegedly. Let's say allegedly that at this point, Texas is the biggest win. I don't think so. The rankings blatantly and openly disagree with that fact.
It's number 2 now, in my opinion. But
let's say that that's accurate. that means Washington, Oregon is the second best win. And it still plows through anything FSU has, period.
Yeah. Without question. So, all right. A couple things to get out of here. Let's see. Jimbo Fisher fired by Texas A&M. It happened.
I mean, listen, I was let go from my contract yesterday. I'm waiting for my $76 million check. That's all I can say.
Dude, how awesome. Dude, I get fired. Okay, you can go now. Go away. But here's $77 million for your troubles.
By the way, just so you know, me, Matt, and Jim, as well as Mikey Byrne, are putting together a pool for you to stop coming up on the Huddle Up podcast.
So what now?
We're putting together a pool to pay you to stop coming on the Huddle Up podcast.
You want me to go? I'll go away.
No, I don't want you to go. It's a joke. Besides, I know if we wanted to buy you out, we could just give you a coupon for some fries and you'd be good.
Depends on the place. Place.
That's a great answer. Here's free crinkle fries from Arby's. Have a nice day.
We've actually done a show on top fries. Remember a couple years ago we did a podcast on that?
Yeah.
The best fries of all time. Rated fries of McDonald's. And
watching you tools, fall in line just like ACC fans trying to tell me McDonald's have elite fries. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, you asshole. No, is there a more disappointing coaching reign last decade than Jimbo Fisher at A&M, considering the expectations?
Well, considering you didn't put limits on it, I would say that, for example, Bobby Petrino, Urban Meyer at Jacksonville.
Well, in college. College. I should have said college.
Bobby Petrino.
Yeah. He sucks anyway, so. But Jimbo won a national title in Florida State. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he got out while the getting was good.
And he gets paid like an elite coach. And they were no better than they were with Kevin Sumlin. In fact, I saw some stat that Kevin Sumlin's record was actually better than Jimbo Fisher's.
Man, listen.
Just saying.
And I believe Sumlin was a big name in his own right, departing Texas A&M, which should have been a red flag. If he's such a big name for a coaching hire, why are they getting rid of him?
By breaking news, the Bills just fired offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey.
Wow. Yeah, because he was the problem.
Yeah, Joe Brady is the interim offensive coordinator. Anyway, last thing that you got to hear. Let me see. Oh, Penn State loses another big one. James Franklin. Let me ask you this, James Franklin. If you're Penn State, what do you do? I mean, he's actually he's a good coach.
Something. He already fired the offensive coordinator, so what's left?
Outside of Ohio State and Michigan, he's a pretty good coach. So
19-0 against everybody else. I get it.
So right, do you stick with you ride the Franklin train longer, or
if
do you
I'm
have to?
Franklin, I say, listen, this is an NFL caliber defense. Donors, put your cash together and get me a quarterback. Now, granted, Joel Klatt pointed out that there was a lot of things with offensive coordinator or an offensive scheme that was the issue, and perhaps changing offensive coordinators will alleviate some of that, but see what happens.
I don't know. I'm not comfortable just firing a guy just because he can't beat the two best teams in college football.
Oh, hold on. Quick pause here. I'm not saying they should fire him. Okay, listen, I'm a Harbaugh guy, and allegedly they were calling for his head just because he couldn't beat Ohio State the first few tries.
Remember
that? And what happened was, by the way, every single Michigan alumni that's not Rich Eisen, because he agreed with me. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. Oh, and I'll exclude Jim. Marge.
Oh, Jesus, Lord. Kyle, plug away, man.
Marge.
Kyle, you're a mess.
I thought I was plugging plenty using the Huddle Up sound bite there. Bing!
Go ahead, man. Plug away.
Of course, EJ Christian, always fun to do this with you every week. Wow. Earnestly speaking. Good times.
That's right. You damn right.
No, I wasn't plugging you. I was speaking earnestly that it's good.
No. I say you damn right. and rightfully so.
And rightly so. Of course, I'm Kyle. That's the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram and Threads as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Jaguar Report on why it's not time to hit the panic button there, Duval Devout. Just chill the bleep out. Or as they say on Huddle Up, shut your ass up. Of course, check out my work as well with the 3-point conversion. A lot of the stuff I do, you'll see on the 3-point conversion YouTube channel. Despite technical issues, you will still see interviews with Christian Kirk and Foye Oluokun. So there's that. Of course, check out my work with the Black and Gold Banneret covering both UCF football and basketball. Thursday night, I'll be in the building covering UCF basketball there at Edition Financial Arena. Also, on the road, you will be seeing UCF take on Texas Tech, and I will be aboard for the post-game show Night Shift. Also writing my weekly edition of Night Class about what you should learn from the UCF football team every week. And hey, listen, if you want to write about what my assessment was, check out the most recent Night Class after the Oklahoma State beatdown. 45-2 or 3, Ernest Christian. 42-point differential, biggest beatdown of a top 25 team by UCF in the programs.
Saw that.
Pretty great.
Sick.
Welcome to the Big 12, bitches. And then, of course, my work with A7B in sports and covering the Orlando Magic. I did miss them against the Bucks because I was at the UCF game, and now they're on the road. I won't be back in town there until the 22nd. I'm hoping to check. Oh, no, I'm approved to go check out Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets coming to town here in Orlando. That's going to be
champs are here.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of fun times, EJ Christian. And until next time, my friend, class dismissed.